Ooh, this is so exciting. Ooh, as my dog intros with me. Good morning, afternoon, evening, morning for us, because we are recording on a different day, which is super fun as you hear my dog. I'm so glad all of our listeners can hear that. But yes, this is Delancey. I'm providing the intro today. And Melena, in usual fashion, decided that we should have an amazing topic. Actually, she came up with this topic a few minutes before we started recording, and it is fantastic. And I get to intro. So, long-winded intro to say today we are going to talk about guilt within the adoption triad. And we're going to talk through it and see how it goes and see what happens. So, Melena found this, what was it, an article, debate topic?
I just like Googled debate topics with adoption, and that was like one of them that popped up is adoption guilt, in part, like you said, part of the whole triad. So it just was very interesting. I mean, I can see it, and I think, we'll be able to talk through a lot of it because it's a lot. I think it's a good. Delancey chose it. I was kind of reading things, and she's like, "Ooh, let's do that." So it's perfect. It's perfect.
Delancey didn't choose it.
So
Delancey just said, "Ooh, that one sounds good." After Melena said it, yes, I concur, Melena. Let's do that one. As I went to make more coffee.
this is so funny. Do you want me to read this right here that they
Yes,
like
of course
quote
you do.
unquote
Absolutely.
define it per se? Okay. This says
Yes.
adoption guilt happens when an adoptive parent recognizes the sacrifice a birth parent made. So this is talking about like that part of the triad. It's difficult to reconcile how the best thing in your life, your newborn baby, who you love more than the world, was made possible because someone else chose to experience loss for the sake of love. I can see this going both ways depending on what kind of
Mm-hmm.
parent, you know what I mean? It is because, there's parents, but this is where I personally never want people to ever feel guilty because it
Mm-hmm.
happened. Like it was supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And because we both know God wanted it to happen. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yep.
where, and
We
we've talked
literally
about
just had this
before,
conversation.
in a perfect world, but we're not in a perfect world. That's not how it is.
Nope.
And so God made it possible to be this way.
Yep.
And so that's why I get with an adoptive parent totally 100%. I mean, there's probably other guilt that comes with it too. Like, who knows what you've gone through to get there. And I get it. Like there's really hard adoption stories that you see the parents, especially I think now with open adoption more, struggling so bad that you just have so much compassion for them, but then you also know at the same time they want this and you're trying to help them help themselves, I guess, per se is a
Mm-hmm.
way to say it. But like I get how you'd have the guilt there. Because I mean, being a mom and stuff, like,
Right.
yeah, it gets complex. It gets
I mean, I feel like it is complex, and I feel like it's definitely one of those things where, I mean, like we literally had this conversation a few minutes before we even picked the topic. It's like it's one of those things of like I want all parents who adopt to fully understand that no matter what anyone tries to say or how, like, you didn't take anything. You didn't take anyone, you didn't take anything. Um it's it's hard for me to wrap my head around that because, like, like you said, like God makes a plan, God makes a place. And like even this morning's devotional was based around like some people believe like it's God's plan and our choices don't matter. Other people believe like our choices ultimately matter, and like God's plan is like secondary, and it's actually both things. Like you have like
yes.
there's the ultimate plan, and your choices are. I kind of look at it like people probably won't be a huge fan of this, but I kind of look at it like it's like it's a little flow chart. Like if this then that,
Oh,
if this then that, but like
yeah.
he can see all of it, so he understands like if you make this choice, like I'm gonna have to let you go that way, and then hopefully you
Right.
find your way back and like you figure this out because you're still my kid and I'm still watching you. So I guess I feel like the special individuals that make that decision to adopt have made that choice, so their path is following a path that he has set out because you've made that choice, and it's just going like that's how it is. And the biological has made a choice, so their
Yeah.
path is going a different way.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you reached over and you took their game piece. That's a horrible way
Right.
but that's the only metaphor I could think of to
No.
create a
I
visualization of
yeah,
it. Like you're all
exactly.
on the same board and you're not taking somebody else's game piece. Like you're
Right.
just going down different paths. So I can understand
Oh,
somebody may feel that,
yeah.
but in my personal opinion, y'all are fine. Like y'all didn't do anything. Like no one should feel guilt about anything. You do the best choice that you can in the moment
Right.
that you feel is best. Sometimes it's not,
Right.
but whenever
Right.
it comes to the life of a child, I don't see why anyone should feel guilty about that.
No. No, and I agree too, and I feel like it's even shifted even more what like I would this might be a long shot because I'm not an adoptive parent, but like less guilt per se nowadays because there's so much open adoption to where the parents can still be involved in lives and stuff like that.
Right. And they can
And
see it.
yeah, exactly. Now, if we flip to like the birth mom side of it, I can see crazy mad guilt with that because that is like you might not be in a position to where you can
Mm-hmm.
take care of this human being, but there are birth moms that we have met, well, not even
Mm-hmm.
met, but heard of that don't give a crap. You know what I mean? That just don't even give a crap,
That
which
just
is,
move on with their lives like it didn't happen. I call those
exactly.
sociopaths.
Yeah.
Like I call those like, I mean, because like it's one of those things of like I, it's hard for me, I guess, because I haven't said this in a long time, but because I'm a 4 on the Enneagram and I have like such strong like feelings and compassion and empathy and everything for others, like it's
Yeah.
hard for me to wrap my head around people who are like, for all intents and purposes, dead inside to be
Yeah.
able to do that. Like you like it
Right.
I don't, and I almost want to be like, what happened to you to
Right.
make you shut off your emotions, or were you just born this
Right.
way? And if you were born this way, obviously I don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know how to go there because I'm not put here to question anything.
Right.
But that part, what you're saying, where like there are birth, I mean, we know that we've heard from
Yeah.
some adoptees or either way, like
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody in the community, people we've talked to on here or in our personal lives or whatever, we've met people who just don't care about the feelings of others.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, that could
Mind
be
blowing.
deep rooted guilt. So they just shut it out. Does that make sense? Like really deep rooted
It
guilt. And
has
so
to
they
be.
they shut it
It
out. And
has
so
to be.
that's where I can see guilt very like if you were to ask me like who has the most guilt in the adoption triad, I would really feel like a birth parent because depending on the situation, and I do think I don't know, there's so much we could talk about like too like with
I was
birth
about to
parents and
say, I
adoptees
don't
and those kinds
know.
of things like it's crazy because it depends on the type of
Yeah.
human you are and depends on those kinds of things like there's so much
That,
that comes into play that you can't just like I can't say, oh, all birth parents, but like, because it's not that way. Because there's some that like truly, every situation is
mhm.
so different. You can't just
No,
pinpoint
I
it.
agree. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly because like we always talk about that. Every situation is so different. But like, not but, I can't think of another, like, I don't want to say however, I like, but segue, like, if like you pick birth parents, like if I had to pick one, I would have to pick adoptees. This is the
Oh,
reason.
I
This is
love
the
this
reason.
though.
Because even it's weird, like even if you're raised with the knowledge of knowing you're adopted, like no matter what it is, like however you're raised, knowing or not knowing, there always may be that little twinge of guilt.
Yes.
With like, unless now, where I think if you're blessed enough to have an open adoption, so you can hear from the very
Right.
beginning what's
Right.
happening. But there's maybe at some point in time a little twinge here and there throughout your life going, well, should I be this happy when
Yes.
there isn't somebody else out there that
Okay.
couldn't take care of
Yeah.
that for whatever reason made the decision to place me? Like,
Yeah.
should I be this? Am I this deserving? Am I like
Right.
I've like listening to knowing all the adoptees that I've listened to when they're placed, like for you, for example, you're in the middle and you were
Yeah.
placed, your thought, why me?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
why? Or when you meet your biologicals, you look at it and you go, oh my gosh, I've I've had so many blessings, they haven't. Why me? Like why, like I could see how that would be very confusing and very,
Yeah.
like I could understand that. And then say, just like we had with Amy's
Yeah.
episode where she talked about how they tried to immediately start saying like, no, you have to come to this, you have to like do a family vacation, or not family vacations, but like family holidays and this and she was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like it's almost not even if
Yeah.
she initially felt it, but it was put on her.
Correct.
So
Yes. Okay.
I
No.
where it's, but like I could see everybody feeling that way, but in
Correct.
if I was looking at it, I would feel like whether it was manifested within themselves or somebody placed it on them, I would think adoptees, because like,
No,
y'all, that's hard.
I agree. I agree. Now thinking of that, I was just taking it step by step, but it's so true. Cause like now that you say that, I mean, you just said parts of my story. It's 100%. Like
Mhm.
when you find,
But it's
yeah.
like
And then,
you may not even realize it. Like that,
yeah,
that's like,
yeah, yeah. No, because it's so true. Because there are feelings, at least I know for me, like at times when I see them, like I, did grow up with a mom and a dad, and I grew up in a stable
mhm,
home, and I am now married and I have kids, and like we do have a great life. You know what I mean? And it's like with
right.
them, like babies, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not coming down on anybody that have babies out of
Mhm,
wedlock, but like it's just up and like, different baby mamas and those kinds of things and just like struggles here and there, which everybody goes through.
mhm,
But I'm like, I'm always grateful that I had my parents. They had a belief in God. We had this foundation. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
I'm forever grateful for that.
Right.
The stability of it all, because yeah, 100%. Like and
Oh,
that's where some
agreed.
guilt still comes in. Like,
Mhm.
things are easier. I don't even know like say that, but you know what I mean? Things may look easier for
Well,
me from
right. It's
their
like
point of
outsider
view.
looking in. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's just like I explained, like with it, like with my situation on the biological dad side, like I know I've openly spoken about that a good bit, so I can continue to speak about that. But like on the dad side, immediate,
Yeah.
immediate like placement of guilt of you were, she took you, we wanted you, you should have stayed with,
Right.
like every time I talked to them, it was your life would have been better with us. I'm sorry, have you seen my family? My family is amazing. You're not going to make me feel bad about this. Like, but
Exactly.
like but there was for the first initial moments, because I wanted to be respectful and
Yeah.
I didn't want to, I understood that they had hurt and they had pain, and hurt
Right.
people. No matter what they said to me, but me having a southern accent, calling me a hillbilly, making
Okay.
uncomfortable comments about how my life would have been better with them, like I was, or that I was kid, like alluding to that I was like taken. If you couldn't see me, I'm doing air quotes right now, so you just need to go watch the video so you can see my air quotes. But like taken, or that I
Yeah.
was stolen, or you know, um, when I sent them the
Get it.
baby when I sent them the photo album of my whole life, and they're just like, they didn't say a word. And I asked them like, did you get it? Like, because I want people to, wanted them to see that I had a great life. And the
Yeah.
response was, yeah, we got it. It just would have been better with us. Like rude, one, rude, because I took time out of my life to put that together for you. Like it was something
Right.
anyone else on the planet thought that was super nice, super sweet. Like
Yeah.
how sweet of you to do that. And then it's, I felt a twinge of guilt for
Well,
that.
seriously though.
And then I
No.
got over it.
No,
but
right.
it's
Right.
because like I was made to feel guilty about that. I was, and then even with my biological mom and everything, and like I'll probably start speaking about that a little more openly here as time passes. But um that, like I felt, I mean, if I'm completely transparent, I felt guilty about that too.
Yeah.
Like the more I got to know them and their story and the background and everything, I felt, I always felt secure, but like it wasn't just me that felt guilty. It was like my family felt guilty too, because I had not wanted to reach out
Yeah.
until the time that I reached out. And it was like, if you would have reached out sooner, we could have done this. Or if I would have reached out. And then it was like me thinking, if I would have reached out sooner, I could have been more involved with, their life growing up, or like I could have given, her answers and things like that. And it's just going, you know what? No, I don't feel guilty about that anymore. I'm over it. Like,
Did they say that to you? I didn't want to interrupt you, but did they say that to
what?
you? That
What?
things would, if you would have known me earlier, this would have happened?
No, no,
Did
no, no,
they?
no. It was
Okay.
like one of those things where it's
Okay.
I come from
Okay.
a family of, no, 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 yeah, no, 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 no.
Okay. I was
Okay.
like,
That's
whoa.
my fault. I miscommunicated
No,
that.
you're
I
okay. You're
miscommunicated
okay.
that. That was my fault. So like I come from a family of helpers, like people that like have servants' hearts. Like my parent,
Yeah.
I really firmly believe that's where my servant's heart comes from, or
I
that
love
it
it.
was molded and shaped it and evolved and everything. Because
Yeah.
I think it would have always been there, but it was really brought out by my parents.
From them. Yeah.
And because my parents are very much, we help others, and
I
by
love that.
doing for others is how we basically, it's essentially glorify God. It may not have always
Yeah.
been said that way, but it's essentially, you do for others. You do for others. When you
Service.
do for
Yeah.
others, your
Serve.
life is better, you're happier, you're a better human being for it. Like, you do for others.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's kind of like my mom looks at it, like, when your family, and we help you, like, no matter. And I don't mean like, and some people are going to hear when I say help you, some people are going to immediately go to, oh, money, financial. No, nothing like that. Like, but
Yeah.
offering emotional support
Right.
is actually, to me, more important
Agreed.
than financial. And I think that
Agreed.
my mom and dad would have been like, I think they would have wanted to be more involved with her,
Yeah.
because my mom and her started talking just as much as she and I did whenever I first reached
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And like, they still like talk back and forth a good bit, and like they had built their own relationship. And I
Right.
think my mom would have liked to have had that
Yeah.
a little sooner.
Okay.
And
That makes
that's,
sense.
I think that's what my parents, and actually I know that's what my parents meant, is they would have liked to have had that relationship sooner, so that they
Right.
could be there. Well, and it's, if I'm being completely candid, I actually said that to her. And the everything happens for a reason. Well, I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
hmm,
It-
hmm,
I do, because I remember it from our last episode with Kayla, is like how you were saying about the honeymoon phase, of how you were saying, like, at the very first, you just kind of listen to things and don't want to say different things to people. But I love that, because I think that is a big part of, you don't know where you can step your ground
mhm,
with people when you first meet them, especially when it
mhm,
comes to your birth family. But
mhm.
then unfortunately
Because you
people
always
do
want to be
start showing their true
respectful.
colors. Yeah,
You
exactly.
want to be respectful.
Exactly.
You want to be respectful because you're thankful. You're thankful that you're alive and you're breathing.
Yes.
Like, I
Yes.
am physically on this earth
Right.
because
Yeah.
you made a choice to create me, you,
Right.
and then you made a choice to keep me alive. Thank you. And you made a
Yes.
choice to place me, bigger thank you.
Exactly.
You always want to be mindful of somebody else's feelings in that, and you want to be mindful of the thought process. And I think that's where like some guilt can come through a little bit on adoptees, is like, we now, not everybody, let me
Right.
say that, not everybody, because again, not everybody's the same, and some people are just dead inside and don't
Right.
care about other people's feelings. And,
It's true.
but something happened to make them that way.
Right.
However, they made a choice to stay that way.
Correct.
And I
Agreed.
stand firm in that. You have a choice to turn off your emotions, and you have a choice to work through it.
Yeah. Well, and I
So,
mean, I feel like you can see, like, with you saying that too, like, you can see these in stories that we've heard, stories that we've done,
mhm,
is like, you get in this, but then people learn to put up boundaries. And it's
mhm,
people who know how to change and know how to be like, okay, I need this for myself. And it goes like,
mhm,
because I can think back on Kayla's episode of where, like, it was the same thing. They're like, come do all the things. And she's finally like,
mhm.
no, like, you've got to
Like,
understand, no. You know what I mean? And I think that's healthy too. And but that's hard for people
right.
to see, because they're like, they can't change and you
Right.
can never change person. But like when
Right.
you've done your growth and you're like, okay, no, this is healthy for me to back up, to like
Right.
stop and to take a moment and to, because yeah, now that you say that, I'd have to shift more with like, yeah, because I can see like the birth mom side, but then especially with
Right.
us with closed adoptions, it brings a
Hmm.
whole new level of, everything else. And I don't think
Right.
there's going to be as much with open adoptions because you've got that contact kind of,
Right.
but yeah, guilt can be
It's
weird and it comes
tricky.
in different forms at different times and sometimes you're like, "Wait,
Right.
what?" But like it just comes cuz you're human and it's weird and it's
Right.
and yeah, cuz
I mean,
guilt's just a weird thing.
uh, it is a weird thing, and I feel like guilt is such a weird, would you say emotion?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
Emotion?
would. I would.
Like, would
Yeah.
you say, like, either way, it's just it's such a weird feeling because you may not even realize you have it, and then it hits you like a ton of bricks. So like
Yeah.
even like parents that do the adopting, like adoptive parents,
Right.
may not even realize they have it, and then out of nowhere
Yeah.
it just pops out, and you just go, huh?
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Like
So,
it
can
just,
I ask you
yeah.
this? What are things that you have done to not feel as guilty?
Um, really?
Now I got to start thinking because I know you're probably going to clap back with that question to me.
Oh, 100%. I'm gonna clap back on you. Of course, you had to hit me first with it. And I'm like, like, I mean, I'm over here like, I just put on a playlist and I danced through it and I just laughed and blah blah blah. No, like, I mean, I would like to think it was that easy. Absolutely not.
Right.
It is definitely not that easy.
No.
I would have to say, uh, a lot of it, I think, came from like working through that is being able to be secure in his plan and myself within that plan. um I really think that like the last, it's so funny because like I openly tell people all the time, like I actually got asked in a business meeting in a business meeting the other day, which was totally fine because like I don't care, like I'm actually like on friendly terms with this person, so like it wasn't a big deal for me, and like he's a straight shooter and I'm a straight shooter, so we get along that
Yeah.
way. But he like flat out was like, why did you come back to Mississippi? Like you had gotten out and like you came back. um because he knew I had lived here before. And I was like, bro, like, quick rundown. Like life fell apart,
Yeah.
lost job, everything, all that good stuff. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like he was like, ah, sorry, I didn't mean it. I was like, no, 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 no. It's a good thing. Like, let me tell you, it's a
Right.
good thing
Right.
because I found my church.
Yeah.
And I had gone to church on, and I still say every day, March 7th, 2021 was when life really clicked for me. Like I
Yeah.
had always put in the work, I'd always been a hard worker. I'd always, done everything I could for other people. It's sometimes to the detriment of myself.
Right.
And, but March 7th, 2021 was when everything clicked and I
Yeah.
stopped doing what I was doing because I was in a church service and I felt it, and I felt him going, hey, hello, like, hi, been here a whole time. I need you to come back. Like you're ready. Like
Yeah.
you're ready at this point to come back
Right.
and really do things for me. Like you
Yeah.
do things for everybody else, but now it's time to take care of you. You can
Right.
still do for everybody else, but taking care of you is being here, being present, volunteering. And through volunteering and through, we do this thing called house church. We meet on Wednesdays. I'm at like small groups, I guess you could call it. Through that, through daily devotionals, through talking openly with my village that I have met within the church, volunteering youth group, volunteering at the coffee bar, like with my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law who lives here. Those four people have been very instrumental. And really having conversations with God like I would with a therapist,
Oh,
and
I
just
love
being
it.
open, honest. People always say that they don't know how to pray. And I was one of those people. I wasn't really sure, because you hear people like play Trisha, like Dear Heavenly Father, and they say a
Right.
lot of God, a lot of Jesus. Like God is
Yeah.
mentioned at least 5 times in the prayer, Jesus at least 10 times. And I always thought I was doing it wrong. And what I've learned over the last 2 years in really being intentional with my relationship with him, intentional with my conversations with him, intentional with
Right.
everything, that I got stronger in who I am. My insecurities don't show as much. I mean, I'm human, so they're still going to be there occasionally,
Yeah.
but the guilt has gone because I can't control anything that I did before March 7th, 2021.
Yeah.
I can't control that. That's done. It's done. It's in the
Right.
past. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that. But
Right.
March 7th, 2021, I made the decision I'm going to be intentional with everything that I do. Some days I may fail, some days I may fall on my face, some days, but every single day I will intentionally talk to God morning and night. And we will even sometimes throughout the day, and we will have a conversation, and I will get through this with him. And it's been a lot of work, a
Yeah.
lot, but
Yeah.
God's been my therapist for the last 2 years. And that's how I've gotten to the place that I am, where I'm just like, I just don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
That was a
That's
really
awesome.
long-winded answer. Did I answer your
No.
question?
No, that's really good. And no, I loved it. And I can agree with a lot of it because as you were talking, I'm like, it's 100%. We're still human. We're still going to have days where it bubbles up and arises.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Mm-hmm.
I am the same way with you. Like, for me, and believe how you want to believe, and there was a point where I wasn't close to God either. But like, now I can't imagine him not in my life and not being
Mm-hmm.
there and not knowing that, like, he is there for you and he has given the tools for you, but he also has so much compassion and understanding when you fail, when you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? When you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand, when you this, when you that. And I love how you said the communication. Because to
Mm-hmm.
me, like, we've always done the Dear Heavenly Father, those kind of prayers. It's always been like that. But as I've gotten older and I tell my kids too, I was like, Heavenly Father will hear you even if you're just like standing there and you have a prayer in your heart and you're kind of like he'll hear you no matter what. You don't have to be like, "Oh, praise Jesus out loud, really loud." Like he will hear you if you are working on that
Mm-hmm.
relationship with him. He's not going to shun you no matter what. So I love that you said that too because there's no right or wrong way to pray. It's
Thank
however
you.
that, you want to do it. It doesn't matter. And that's what I tell my kids all the time. I'm like, if you're thinking about someone you want better for them, I promise you
Mm-hmm.
that God is listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
God hears that. And so, no, I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And I'm probably the same as you. I'd have to attribute taking intentional time, since for me, it was when I turned 30 to build a relationship with God. So, I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
been what, 5 years in the making, but it's not easy. It's something continual, like any relationship that
Mm-hmm.
you have to work on and you have to be there. And it's probably a little bit harder and frustrating because he's not right there to communicate to you. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just have to be like, why is this going on? Okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But like, no, I love that. I would totally agree with you. Like, is 100% the relationship with God that helps when you do have these feelings and yuckiness and yeah. And then it's just like, okay, this is something
Mm-hmm.
for me. I take it as this is something I guess I have to go through and learn, no matter how sucky or whatever
Mm-hmm.
the outcome will be. But like, as long as he's always there. Yeah. I love that. See, you were right on what I was on. I love that so much.
Well, and it's funny because when you said it's like even if it's in your heart, like there'll be moments that I'll be listening to a song and it just like, I mean, to me, worshiping him is almost praying to him, because you're supposed to pray to him in good and bad. You don't just
Yes.
go to, like, it's kind of like when you go to, it's kind of like, you're not a little kid, you don't go to your parents just because like you skinned your knee. You go to your parents and you like hug them and you thank you for my
Right.
eggs, and thank you for my
Yes.
breakfast. And they're like, I had the best day at school, let me tell you about it. Or I had a really hard day at school, let me tell you about it. Like
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
he's there for all of it. So like
Exactly.
it's just, I don't know. I feel like so many people are so, like you said, they don't, they think you have to, Heavenly Father, forgive me
Eh,
for,
eh,
and like you
Right.
should
Yes,
ask for
correct.
forgiveness. I'm not saying, and I'm not being blasphemous, so please nobody come for me. My goodness gracious alive. Please nobody come for me. But the only way you're going to work through, and that was for me when you asked about the guilt, I was like, oh, should I say this or should I not say that? Like, and then
No.
me like, ha, I'm gonna say it anyway because here I
I
am.
love it.
The only way to work through your emotions is to communicate about them,
Yeah,
communicate your feelings, communicate your emotions, communicate where you stand. Because, and then after you're done communicating, listen for the response.
right.
Now, that does not mean the Lord is going to audibly talk to you. God, I wish you would, though. Some
Right.
days I need you to, like, I
So
would
true.
really, really appreciate it if, like, if he would audibly say, no, you should not do that. Are you crazy? Like, or yes, absolutely, you should do that. What is wrong with you? Like, what is holding you? Like, it's there. Like, I look back, audible words would have been helpful,
Right.
but that's just not how it works. But we have feelings. He provides us with
Yeah.
feelings. He provides us with, being able to feel the emotions, being able to move forward, being able to, and if it's icky emotions, you talk to them about it and you work through it, just like you would with anybody, any other person, if they make you feel bad. You talk to them about it. You work through it.
Well, and I love that you said that too, is that you have a tribe to communicate with, which I think
Oh
is
my gosh.
so
Yes.
necessary to have those people in your life that you know
Mm-hmm.
you can talk to about anything. Because I know, at least for me, that's so healing too. Like just to have that
Mm-hmm.
person that will sit down and listen to you. And those are my favorite type of people. Like they listen to you and have compassion with you. And, depending on what mood you're in, sometimes you want advice. Sometimes you're like, just listen to me. Don't say anything. Just listen to me. Just sit here with me and
Mm-hmm.
we're good. But you do need those people in your life
Mm-hmm.
that you can just talk to, because at least with them, they can
Right.
kind of converse back. Unlike,
Exactly. And
with God,
they
sometimes
and
it's
they
like,
will exactly. And they will hold you accountable too.
yes, 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 yes,
I was about to say,
yes.
having a true village, just if anyone is curious, having a true village is not having somebody. I mean, yes, it's having people who are ride or die for you. However, they need to hold you accountable too.
Correct.
I can't have people in my life that are like, you're the best all the time. You're an amazing human being. I mean, I know, but I'm not. Like, I know I'm awesome, but I'm not always awesome. And I need people in my life that are going to point out and say, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, that was really great. However, if you would have done it like this way,
Yeah.
you probably could have been a little more efficient. Or, you know what? That was a really poor decision and
Yeah.
everything worked out fine, but you probably shouldn't do that again. And this is why.
Right.
Like,
Because those people, if they truly want the best for you, then they'll say though, you know what I mean? They'll be that way to you. It's
mm,
not always just going to be light, fluffy,
right,
yay, woo, you know what I mean? People
right,
who truly want the
exactly.
best for you will tell you hard truths. And yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. No,
Hmm.
that was good. That like, I love these. I love these conversations. We haven't done one for a while. We've had so many interviews. I love it.
I know, right? Well, and it's one of those things of when we were talking about like the accountability piece and like being able to talk through it and listen. And I was like, gosh, I have my village here. I have, like the four people in my family that have been really super instrumental with everything, um, with me over the last 2 years now, 2 years. Um, but then like you,
Yeah, I agree. Right back at you. Yeah. No, it's
like
so true.
it's sometimes it's a lot easier to process things when you have somebody who's kind of on the same path,
I feel like
I
it's kind of
guess.
like, was it Amy that said it? That adoptees kind of had this unspoken bond, like most of them.
Hmm.
Like even the ones who are
We
so
do.
angry at the world, I feel like we still have this unspoken bond with them
Hmm.
just because like we can relate, but we
Hmm.
also haven't taken it to like the dark side per se. Does that make
Oh
sense?
gosh,
Like we can relate with their
because
feelings, and
it's
it's
so
like we've said
easy.
before. We we pray for them, we want the best for them
Hmm.
because we know it's much better on the other side, not to be angry and
Hmm.
ornery and all the time, because I would not want to live that way. Oh, it's just
Well,
exhausting me thinking about it.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Martin Luther King. Actually, I saw a quote on Martin Luther King Jr. Day that I reshared, and like it sticks with me because you can't chase out darkness with darkness. You can only do that with light.
Oh,
And that's like he's so like he
that's a
was
good one.
genius. Like
Ew,
he
I
like
love that.
and I've heard so many quotes from him and like I've read so much about him and like what a great man he was, but
Yeah.
I've never seen that one. And I feel like
Yeah.
every year I learn something new. And that I was just going, yeah, because you can't chase out darkness with darkness. You have to do it with light, just like you can't chase out hate with hate. Like you
Yes.
just can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
I love that so
So thank you,
much.
Martin Luther King Jr., for being so wise, because your words definitely live on
Amen.
and they apply to all of us in so many different ways, because it's true. You can't,
Yeah.
being angry just
Mm-mm.
doesn't,
No.
and being
Agreed.
volatile and toxic and really just volatile with every, I mean, it just,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
reason for it. There's no reason for that.
Mm.
There's no reason to be mean.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed
Like, work through
100%.
your stuff, man.
Yeah. No. And like with Kayla's too last week, I loved how you guys, because you guys are definitely more prevalent on TikTok, but you guys have both seen it. And it's kind of how she was just like, be blessed. Like, I love that. Like,
I love
just,
that. I still love
yeah.
the be blessed. Hashtag
Yeah.
be blessed.
It's so true because it is. They just need a sprinkle of love. And whether they're going to take it or not, you've done your part by being like, here,
Hmm.
have a little bit of it. So
Hmm.
hopefully your heart will start to soften because, oh, I can't even imagine. Can't even
Well, and
imagine.
it's, I almost feel like it's more, I almost feel like it's, the more I think about it, the more I feel like it's just so performative.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
especially when you don't, when you can't provide facts, you can't provide
Yeah.
information, you just keep repeating the same statements over and over again.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, I think that's with anything.
Yeah.
Like, so there are just some people who are performative, and unfortunately with social media, with people who want clicks and views and likes, and
It's so true.
it's so
And
weird.
people like the
Social media is
drama.
weird.
And people
Dude,
love, they
right?
feed off of that drama. And I'm just like, why? Like people that talk about like, and I get what they're trying to do, like educate people on the negative points of adoption, but they get so much traction because all it is like gloom and doom and like, don't do it. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, can we
It's
just
like
have
it's
some
like what, it's
happiness?
like driving past a car wreck. People are like, what happened?
It's so true. They just sit there and
What
gawk
happened?
because I like, I just want to
Or
see it.
you
I just want to
right.
watch it all.
Or they'll sit there and or they'll look at it and they sit there and gossip. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's such an annoying thing, because people, it's like, even if it has nothing to do with them, they're just like, oh, I thought I have to be in the middle of this. And it's like, but do you really?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I
Exactly.
don't get me wrong, I like to know things. I love to know things. I love information, but I love information because it helps
Right.
me to understand dynamics in the world. And like, that's the reason, like, I love I love to
Agreed.
observe people. I love to watch.
Yeah.
I love to keep watching. Is like my favorite thing, because I like to see people interact with other people.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what? Maybe they're angry because of their guilt. Sorry, that just clicked in my head.
No, no, it's true. It's 100% true. It's kind of how we were going back. Like you tied it right back in with the birth moms you were talking about that want nothing to do it, where that could be underlying really, really hardcore guilt. You know what I mean? It really could be. And I'm not saying it is because I'm not speaking for them. I'm just saying it could be.
Right.
It could be. You know what I
There's
mean?
potential there. There's potential
Yeah,
that it could be, or like, on the people on TikTok could be feeling guilty, and they could be trying to, for whatever reason, hurt people and just trying to spread the
agreed.
poison.
Yeah,
Or they could just not have a lot of friends in the real world and want internet friends.
it's true. It's so true.
Oh, did I hear a child?
I don't know if that was a child or if that was my dog. Maybe it was my son. I thought he
I
said
mean, your
Mia.
dog's,
Maybe.
I gotta
Was
say, yeah, let's say your dog's kind of a child too.
she's just chilling in her kennel though, sleeping, snoozing away. She's a lazy butt.
God, I wish Pocket would be like that. No,
Uh,
Pocket's like me. And I'm all like, no,
That's
not
so funny.
about you today.
Yeah, she's buried in there under her blankie. She loves her kennel.
So, so I know that you agreed with me on the working through it with like relationship with God and everything, but what have you taken any additional steps? Because I know with yours is a little bit, I feel like with Aaron,
My
like it's same but different, you
Yeah,
know?
mine therapy, like actually going to a physical therapist has probably been one of the biggest blessings for me to like talk through that because there's so much other stuff that goes into play, like, with guilt with my family, wanting to reach out to my birth family, like this and
Mhm.
this and this, because on the opposite side, my parents were not as supportive of me finding. And so that was a lot to deal with, and this and that and this
Mhm.
and that. And so that and like my husband is somebody who I talk through like everything with, but honestly, therapy was probably one of the biggest things, and then turning to God. So like, because I tell everybody, therapy is amazing, and I love how you said God is
Mhm.
your therapist, because I feel like it can be the same
Mhm.
way too. My favorite thing with my therapist though is then she can, which people hate this, they turn it back on you, but it's good because it's like that one friend that's like, well, why do you feel this way, or this or that or that, and then it really
Mhm.
has, makes you think, makes you break it down, and makes you get to sometimes the yucky of why you feel that way, or it's just good. It's a good kick in the butt to be like, hey, I get this, but why this, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and so therapy, turning to God, all those kinds of things. And like you said, talking to people. You have to have your humans in your life that you can talk to. I think that's a huge thing. So
Mhm.
for me, that, yeah.
You said you go in person, or is it like
No,
telehealth?
it
Because
was
I know
in
telehealth is a
person.
thing too.
No, in person. I'm more of an in-person type of person. Like
Mhm.
it would be so cool if we lived by each other, because we'd be like, get together once a week, like
Oh
sit
my
down. You
gosh,
know what I mean?
all
Yeah.
the time. Could you imagine? We would be like we would be recording our like
I know.
y'all would have a whole other dynamic because we'd be sitting
It's
like
so true.
on the couch together, recording our
It's
podcast
true.
in the same room. And like, but it isn't
Yeah.
in person. Like I agree with you. In person is definitely a
Yeah.
different vibe than
I
like
Yeah, because I know some people are all about like the script, but I'm not. I'm like, give me the actual tangible human right there that I can
mhm,
actually be with. I'm definitely more like that. But yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Any
like that with the people I care about.
Yeah, agree. No,
So
agreed.
like
Yeah, for sure
I'm
people that you care
still
about.
like trying to like figure out how we're gonna plan because like I know it's and all everyone that listens to us has heard us talk about this before, like between like my job and like you're a mom and you have a job and you have a husband who travels like all over the world. So it's like we're still like y'all, we're still planning that. We're still trying to figure that out. We have not like
Yeah.
said no, like no, we're
Yeah.
gonna do this. But like to have
Yes.
such a dynamic, this is a reason like just before we end, always be open to people, no matter like be open because you never know who you may find that's going to impact your life because Melena has impacted my life so much. And she was
Thank you.
honestly the only one I was open to that had reached out to me was like, hey, I want to talk to you about your adoption. Like that wasn't like I want to ask questions. That was like, hey, I want to do something with you about your adoption,
Yeah.
like an interview or something. Like there were people who had reached out to me before that were like, I want to share your video, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get, yeah. And that's why I was
So
like
that's how
so
you build
excited
your village.
when we got Kayla too. And she's like, I've said no. And then she's like, I said yes to you guys. I was like, yes, she
Mhm.
saw something in us.
Well,
She
yeah,
saw
and that
something
was
in us.
I was about to say Kayla saw something in us, and then Amy was like, "This is the first one that I've done
Yeah. Yes.
that's solely about my
Yeah.
adoption," and it's just
Yeah.
going,
It's
every goes back to there is his plan. Everything happens
yes.
the way it's supposed to.
Is so
Everything
true.
works the way it's supposed to. So,
Yeah. And it's my favorite. The more that we have things happen like that, the more that I know we're doing the right thing. We're on the right track, that
mhm,
he truly is sending these people our way, or having us reach
mhm,
out to these people, and then their hearts are saying, yeah, let's do this. Like that's my
mhm.
favorite thing, is like I know there's some, because there are some people I reached out to and they're like, no, not right now.
Yeah,
But which I
same.
totally get. But like I
Right,
get
which is
that.
like I get it. If it's not
Yeah.
meant for you right now, it's not meant for you. And
Right.
this is I think that's what I love so much about us is we're no pressure. We're like if you want to, amazing. If you don't, we
Yeah.
get it. If you
Right.
whatever you want to share, we're open to hear. Like
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I love that
No,
about us.
100%. So
I
I did
love that
too.
about us. I
I
love
did
how
too.
I love how amazing we are.
I love us. It's so true.
Oh
Any
gosh.
other thoughts on this or anything? Like I just want to acknowledge guilt is a real thing,
Hmm.
but like we've said at this very end part, find people you can talk to, whether it's,
Hmm.
think it should always be God. That's just me. I don't care what you think.
Hmm.
Always God, and then find people that you can talk to as well, because it's always nice to have somebody who can converse back with you, because the Lord doesn't always do that.
I would say the Lord sometimes just says no.
Yeah, it's so true.
Like so there's a lot of times that people don't want to talk about that, but like and it's so funny because like they're like, oh well he didn't answer me. Yeah, he did. It was
Yeah,
no. It was
exactly.
no. Like I don't
Exactly.
like sometimes
Exactly.
it's a yes, sometimes it's a no. And if it's a no, it's
Right.
okay. But
Yeah.
just like you said, like, guilt's a real thing and it's all right. It's okay to feel it, but don't live in it. Just like
Yeah.
Like it just don't, it's never healthy to live in negativity, however
Right.
that manifests within you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly. I love it. Yay. I always love these. I do.
me
These are some of my
too.
favorites because then we can just sit and talk through things. So it's my favorite. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, I think that's it.
Mhm.
I will go ahead and close this out. Thanks, guys, for being